This isn't about socialism. It's not about Scandinavian magic. And it's definitely not about who has better health care. Because honestly, we already know the answer to that one. This is about math. Cold, hard, spreadsheet math. I spent 2 weeks building a cost calculator comparing Norway to America, tracking every expense from rent to childcare to taxes, line by line, dollar by dollar, and somewhere around day 9, staring at the final numbers on my screen, I broke. Because here's what nobody tells you. The country that looks more expensive on paper might actually be bankrupting you less. In America, 66.5% of personal bankruptcies are triggered by medical debt. 100 million Americans, that's nearly 1 in 3 people, owe a combined $220 billion in medical bills alone. Add student loans, total federal student debt sits at around $1.6 trillion in 2024, with 45 million borrowers carrying an average of $38,000 in debt before they've even started their careers. But here's the inversion. What if the expensive country is actually cheaper? What if we've been calculating cost of living wrong this entire time? Meet Marcus Brennan, 31 years old, graphic designer, lives in Austin, Texas, his before state. Marcus makes $68,000 a year. On paper, that's solid middle-class money. Here's his reality. Rent for a 1-bedroom apartment downtown, close enough to his office that he doesn't need a car, runs him $1,850 every single month. His employer-sponsored health insurance, that's another $477 in monthly premiums. And that's just to have the insurance. His deductible sits at $3,000, which means he's paying out of pocket for basically everything until he crosses that threshold. Then there's his student loan payment, $340 a month for the next 12 years. Bachelor's degree in design. Standard 4-year state school. Marcus wants kids eventually, maybe in a few years. But he's done the math on childcare in Austin. Average cost per kid? $13,128 per year. That's over $1,000 a month per child. Last summer, he tore his ACL playing pickup basketball. Surgery, physical therapy, follow-up appointments. Total bill after insurance kicked in for $1,200. He's still making monthly payments on a credit card, 18% interest. Before Marcus buys a single grocery, before he pays for gas or saves a dime for retirement, his invisible expenses, the costs that don't feel like living, just surviving, eat up nearly 48% of his pre-tax income. His after estate. Now imagine Marcus. Same job title, same design work, but he's working in Oslo, Norway. His rent for a comparable 1-bedroom apartment in the city? $1,770 a month. Actually cheaper than Austin by $80. Health insurance premium? $0. It's covered through his taxes. When he tears his ACL in Norway, maximum out-of-pocket cost of the entire year, including surgery, physical therapy, medications, everything, $300 total. That's it. No surprise bill 6 months later. No negotiating with billing departments. Student loans from his bachelor's degree? $0. Norwegian public universities charge no tuition, not just for Norwegians, but for EU and EEA citizens studying there. International students from outside the EU may still face fees at some institutions, though policies vary and discussions about fee waivers continue. Future childcare costs when he has that kid? The average monthly cost is around $280 to $420, though subsidized rates can bring this lower for eligible families. And the government covers 85% of operating costs for public childcare programs. Parental leave when that kid arrives? 49 weeks paid at 100% of the salary, or 59 weeks at 80% pay. His choice. Compare that to America's federally guaranteed paid parental leave, 0 weeks. Yes, Marcus pays more in taxes. His effective tax rate in Norway hovers around 35 to 38% once you factor in income tax plus Social Security contributions. In Texas, he was paying closer to 22% federal, plus another 7.65% for Social Security and Medicare. But when you subtract all those invisible expenses, the health insurance premiums, the deductibles, the student loans, the child care costs that never stop, Marcus has $9,300 more per year in actual disposable income living in Oslo than he did in Austin. Same job, same life, $9,000 richer. Hey, real quick, if this data is breaking your brain the way it broke mine, do me a favor. Hit that like button so more people see this, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what your rent costs. I'm genuinely curious if your city is more expensive than Oslo. I'll read every single one. Okay, back to the uncomfortable truths. Marcus is an outlier. He's the trend. Let's zoom out. The tax myth. Everyone thinks Norway is a tax nightmare. The numbers tell a different story. Norway's top marginal income tax rate, the rate you pay on your highest earnings once you account for bracket taxes and Social Security contributions, maxes out at 47.4%. In America, if you're living in a high-tax state like California or New York, your combined federal and state top rate hits between 47.9 and 50.3%. The difference? Basically none, or even slightly higher in the U.S. for top earners. But here's the kicker. Norway's middle class pays more in taxes than America's middle class. It's not just the rich getting squeezed. It's everyone contributing. The ordinary income tax rate in Norway is 22% flat, plus bracket taxes that start kicking in once you earn above the average income. In return, they get something back. The hidden cost comparison. When you add up the true cost of living, not just sticker prices at the grocery store, but total financial exposure over a lifetime, the picture flips. Let's start with education. Average university tuition in America for a 4-year degree ranges from $40,000 at a public in-state school to over $150,000 at private institutions. In Norway, zero. Public universities are tuition-free for Norwegian, EU, and EEA citizens. Medical debt. In America, 100 million people, that's 36% of households, carry medical debt. The total owed? $220 billion. 66.5% of personal bankruptcies cite medical expenses as a contributing factor. That's roughly 320 to 344,000 medical bankruptcies every single year. In Norway, medical bankruptcy is statistically negligible. It doesn't even register as a category in their financial data. Childcare. In America, the average annual cost per child in 2024 is $13,128. That's over $1,000 a month. In Norway, average monthly fees range from around $280 to $420, with subsidies available for low-income families, including 20 hours per week of free childcare. Parental leave. In America, there is no federally mandated paid parental leave. 0 weeks. Some states have programs. Some companies offer benefits, but there's no guarantee. In Norway, 49 weeks at full pay, or 59 weeks at 80%. Every parent. Every time. Medical out-of-pocket costs. The average American household spends $1,514 per year in out-of-pocket medical expenses after insurance. That's on top of premiums. People in the top 1% of medical spending in America, those dealing with chronic conditions or major health events, pay $23,700 out of pocket annually. In Norway, there's a maximum annual cap. Once you hit it, everything else is free. The purchasing power reality. According to OECD purchasing power parity data, which adjusts for what money actually buys, Norway's GDP per capita sits at around $101,000. America's? Around $80,000. Norway is approximately 26% wealthier per person when you account for what that money can actually purchase. But here's the real gut punch. The average annual wage in Norway is around $71,000. In America, the median for full-time workers is around $62,000. And Norwegians aren't drowning in student debt or one hospital visit away from bankruptcy. The verdict. When economists calculate cost of living, they look at grocery prices and rent, apples and apartments. But they miss the financial landmines, the $80,000 surprise hospital bill, the $200,000 college debt, the bankruptcy filing because your kid got leukemia and you hit your insurance lifetime cap. Norway buries those landmines before you ever step on them. America plants them everywhere and calls it freedom of choice. Okay, pause. I need to know, are you Team America or Team Norway after hearing all this? Comment below. United States if you'd stay in the U.S. Norway if you'd pack your bag for Norway. And tell me why. Because this comment section is about to be a war zone, and I'm here for it. Also, subscribe if you're not already, because next week I'm breaking down the cost of living in Japan versus Germany, and it's somehow even weirder than this one. All right, final section. Now, let's talk about what I haven't told you, because if I only showed you the highlights, I'd be lying. The Norwegian trade-offs. 1. The weather will test your soul. Oslo gets about 1,632 hours of sunshine per year. Austin, Texas? Over 2,600 hours. That's almost 1,000 fewer hours of sun annually. Winter in Oslo is dark. I'm not talking, oh, it gets dark early dark. I'm talking existentially dark. In mid-December, the sun rises around 9:15 in the morning and sets by 3:20 in the afternoon. That's 6 hours of daylight. Total. If you're working indoors, you commute to work in the dark and leave in the dark. If you have seasonal depression, Norway will amplify it. Vitamin D supplements become a lifestyle. Light therapy lamps aren't optional. They're survival gear. 2. The social integration is brutal. Norwegians have a cultural phenomenon called the ice wall. It's not that they're rude. They're polite, reserved. But breaking into genuine friendship circles as an expat takes years, not months. The common phrase you'll hear from expats. Norwegians are kind, but not friendly. They'll help you if you're lost. They'll hold the door. But inviting you into their established friend group, that's a decade-long process. If you're someone who needs spontaneous social connection, if you thrive on striking up conversations with strangers at bars or making instant friends, Norway will feel isolating. 3. The small stuff adds up fast. A beer at a bar in Oslo, $12 to $15. A basic takeout pizza, $25. A gallon of gas, $7.50. Groceries, alcohol, dining out. These are where Norway consistently ranks as one of the most expensive countries on earth. Not for rent, not for healthcare, but for everyday consumption. You will notice it every week. You can't just move there. This isn't buy a plane ticket and figure it out. To live and work in Norway, you need one of the following. A job offer from a Norwegian employer who sponsors your work visa. Citizenship or residence rights in an EU or EEA country. Enrollment in a Norwegian university with proof of financial means. Typically around $16,000 in savings per year. It's not Craigslist. It's immigration bureaucracy. Applications. Documentation. Waiting periods. 5. The career ceiling feels lower. If you're ambitious in high-paying fields like tech or finance, American salaries at the senior level can significantly outpace Norwegian ones. A software engineer in San Francisco or New York might pull in $200,000 or more. In Oslo, you're looking at $90,000 to $110,000. If your goal is wealth maximization, if you're young, healthy, debt-free, and willing to grind for a decade, America's upside potential is higher. The bottom line, Norway is not a utopia. It's a trade-off. You sacrifice sunshine, social spontaneity, cheap beer, stratospheric earning potential in niche industries. You gain financial security, work-life balance, 37.5-hour work weeks are standard, a social safety net that won't let you drown if life goes sideways. It's not better. It's not worse. It's different priorities. Okay, pause. I need to know something. If you're watching this from Norway or anywhere in Europe, drop a comment and tell Americans what we're getting wrong about your country. And if you're American, tell me, what would it actually take for you to consider moving? Also, if you're finding value in this, hit that share button. Send this to one person who's drowning in medical or student debt. They need to see these numbers. Back to the finale. So, what are we actually arguing about here? Because it's not really about money, is it? The real question, cost of living, is a proxy for a deeper value question. What are we optimizing for? Norway optimizes for collective security. America optimizes for individual opportunity. Neither is objectively right. If you value maximum earning potential, if you want the chance to make $200, $300, $400,000 a year in the right industry, personal freedom to choose your health insurance plan, your level of coverage, your provider network, low baseline taxes with the ability to keep more what you earn, the frontier mindset that says, I'll figure out myself. I don't need a safety net. I'll build my own. Then America is your country. If you value predictable expenses, never fearing that a single medical diagnosis will financially ruin you, time with your children, without choosing between career advancement and being present, the guarantee that your kids will get a university education without debt, the safety net mindset that says, we'll figure out together, no one should fall through the cracks. Then Norway is your country. The uncomfortable truth. America tells you, you can be anything. Norway tells you, you'll be okay no matter what. One is a bet on your potential. The other is a guarantee of your baseline. And here's the thing that broke me after 2 weeks of building this calculator. Both systems work for different people in different stages of life with different priorities. If you're 24, healthy, debt-free, and hungry, if you've got a high-paying skill set and you're willing to hustle, America's ceiling is higher. The upside is real. But if you're 34 and want kids, if you have a chronic health condition, if you value time over money, or if you just want the peace of mind that comes from knowing you won't be bankrupted by bad luck, Norway's floor is higher. The math I couldn't escape. At the end of those 2 weeks, staring at my spreadsheet at 2 a.m, I realized something. The expensive country protects you from the costs that destroy you. The cheap country hides costs until they bankrupt you. In Norway, you see the price up front. In your taxes, in your grocery bills, in $15 beers. In America, you see it later. In the surprise medical bill that arrives 6 months after your surgery. In the student loan payment that follows you for decades. In the impossible choice between paying for childcare and staying in your career. One system is expensive by design. The other is expensive by accident. And I still don't know which is better. I just know which is honest. So here's my question for you. Not as a hypothetical. As a real choice. If you could move to Norway tomorrow, same job, same purchasing power, same life, would you? Or would you stay in America, knowing the risks, betting on yourself to avoid the landmines? Because I've run the numbers. I've built the model. I've seen both sides. And I still don't have an answer. Maybe you do. Drop a comment. Tell me your calculation. Not what sounds good. Not what's politically correct. What would you actually do with your one life? I'll be reading. Before you go, if this video made you rethink anything, even for a second, hit that like button and share it with one person who's drowning in medical or student debt. They need to see this. Subscribe for more financial deep dives that actually use real data, not vibes. Thanks for watching. Now, go argue in the comments. I'll see you there.